Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Srila Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai 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 Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramaham Prabhupada Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhai Charanaravindra Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupada Paramaham Prabhupada Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Namachara Shri Haridas Thakur Ki प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपिका श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की ब्रज भूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की श्री नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की श्री पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गंगामय यमुनामय की भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की श्रील प्रभुपाद स्टैंडर्ड बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जुगधर्म से हरिनाम संकीर्तन की समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि बोल. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistike Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahityam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Dinamine Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitai Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namah Madhuryochvala Premadhyay Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namastute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudhapa Siddhanta Dantaharine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambara Sambodhe Padam Bhujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Vadayate Gauravirbhav Bhumesvam Nirdesa Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannathaya Te Namah Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah namo mahavadanyaya krishna prema pradayate krishnaya krishna chaitanya namne gauratvishi namah panchatattvatmakam krishnam bhaktarupa swarupakam bhaktavatar bhaktakyam namami bhakta shaktikam हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते जयतां सुरतो पंगो मम मंदा मतिर्गति मत्सर्वस्य पदाम्भोजौ राधा मदन मोहनौ दिव्यदृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमादः श्रीमद्रत्नाकर सिंहासनस्थौ श्रीमद्राधा श्रीलगोविन्ददेवो कृष्णालिभिः सेव्यमानौ स्मरामि श्रीमान् रासरसारम्भी वंशीवटतटस्थितौ कर्षन् वेणुस्वनैर्गोपी गोपीनाथ श्रीकृष्ण तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा So tomorrow is Shri Ram Vijay Utsav or Shri Ram Vijay Dashmi. For the outside world, it is today. We tried to be creative by singing something. Most of you didn't understand the uncommon lines which were made up. Maybe we should increase the volume while when I sing because my voice is low. So if you can just check echo बंद कर दो अगर है तो और थोड़ा volume बढ़ा दो. So this is chapter number 9 of the 10th canto of the second canto. We will come to the 10th canto also, Krishna willing. Probably all of us will be looking a lot older. But Kabe Habe Bolo Se Din Amar. When, oh, when will that day be mine? Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings this in relation to the taste for the holy name. And Srila Prabhupada also writes this in one of his bhajans which he has written. Krishna Tava Punya Habe Bhai. He says that uh, uh, something din keache amar. That when that day will be mine, when I will be frolicking with Krishna in Vrindavan, in Golok Vrindavan. So this is the second canto, 9th chapter. The chapter name is Answers by citing the Lord's version. The topic of today's power of penance. The chapter name is the answers by citing the Lord's version. Whose answers? Parikshit Maharaj. The questions of Parikshit Maharaj. Last chapter we discussed. Parikshit Maharaj has so many questions that he asked, which became the subject matter of the entire rest of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And all the questions that the sages had asked Suta Goswami are also answered. Many of them are already answered in this canto, but some of them will be answered, and all of Parikshit's questions will be answered. So in the second canto, till now, what we have discussed is the first three chapters we discussed the glories and the power of devotional service. And then from the fourth chapter onwards, creation was discussed, if you remember. Purusha Sukta and various other things, the process of creation. And we discussed how it is important to know the process of creation, because then we know how great Krishna is and how insignificant we are, and how everything around us actually belongs to Krishna. And then, with more faith and more inspiration, we can actually serve the Lord. And knowing this, then we can put Krishna's pastimes in relation to how everything is emanating right from the atom to all the abodes are emanating from Krishna. And therefore, when that Krishna lifts Govardhan hill, it's no big deal. So many, Prabhupada says, so many planets are floating in orbit. Who is holding them together? Krishna's energies. So if Krishna's energies can hold such big planets, then one mountain in that planet, if Krishna holds, we call it mythology. And okay, there's no gravity. So, but why is it floating? What is gravity? Who created that? No, it's just floating. Outside world, that's what people say. It's just floating. When you probe too much, either they'll get annoyed, or like if you have religious elders in your family, then they'll say, ये सब सवाल मत पूछो. No, don't get into that. Don't ask these questions. क्या है ये सब? But it's important to know this. Only then we can appreciate that yes, as a hog, the Lord can come and with his tusk lift the earth out of the water and place it again there. How is that possible? Because all those are his energies. One of Prabhupada's disciples calls Varahadev the supreme personality of hog head. Supreme personality of hog head. He's a hog in the form of a hog. So after that, then Parikshit Maharaj asks questions. And in the last chapter, along with his questions, his interest and conviction to want to hear Srimad Bhagavatam was also spoken, and we discussed about that. The conviction of a devotee to accept that all my problems, all my purification will happen by hearing the topics of the Lord, not hearing anything, but hearing the topics of the Lord. I was listening to one lecture today of His Holiness Radha Govind Maharaj on Ramayana. The good part of having a Vaishnav calendar is almost every second or third day there is some event. Of course, these events are everyone celebrates, like Dashera and Diwali. And then you will feel inspired, and YouTube will also give you recommendations of those kind of lectures. And all those channels also, they will re-upload those lectures. And then the latest recommendations will come. So he was saying that the only way of purification of consciousness in this material world for people of Kali Yuga is hearing the pastimes of the Lord. And therefore the Lord comes again and again and performs these elaborate pastimes. And so all we have to do is keep hearing these pastimes. Like, I don't know about you, but whenever I hear that section of Ramayana where Mother Sita is going to be abducted, in your mind you always think, no, don't do that. Don't cross that line. No, that deer is not real. You know what's going to happen, but still in your mind you feel, no, don't do that. And you still enjoy hearing it again and again. You enjoy hearing it again and again. When the whole description of Sundarkand is there, of Hanumanji, his glories, and how he goes there and all. That's like the best hero climax that is there. That how Mother Sita's messages Lord Ram's message is given and Mother Sita's message is brought back. We have heard it again and again. But when we hear it again and again and again, there's purification of heart. Many times we can't see it, but it's happening. The great acharyas are saying, like His Holiness Radha Govind Maharaj, just keep hearing. We should just keep hearing, keep hearing. That's why Lord has given 2 ears and one mouth. Talk less, hear more. Talk less, hear more. So now in this chapter, some of those questions are answered. Actually, the first one question is answered, and then Brahma asks further questions to which Krishna speaks 4 verses. And those 4 verses are said to summarize the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. And therefore they are called as Chatur Shloki Bhagavatam. Just like Krishna had spoken the Chatur Shloki Gita in which chapter? 10 chapter, 8 to 11. Aham sarvasya prabhavo to tesham evanu kampatham. Similarly, here he speaks the Chatur Shloki Bhagavatam. And then those answer further questions. Let us begin. Verse 1. Shri Shuka Vacha Atmamaya Rajan Atmamaya Rajan Parashyanubhavatmana Parashyanubhavatmana Nagathethartha Sambandha Nagathethartha Sambandha Swapna Drashturivanjasa Swapna Drashturivanjasa Atmamayamrite Rajan Parashyanubhavatmana Nagathethartha Sambandha Swapna Drashturivanjasa. Sri Sukadev Goswami said, O King, unless one is influenced by the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no meaning to the relationship of the pure soul in pure consciousness with the material body. That relationship is just like a dreamer seeing his own body working. So this is answer to Parikshit Maharaj's question that what is the relationship between the soul and the body? And what is the relationship of the body with the Lord? That was one of his questions in the previous chapter. So Shukadev Goswami starts by answering that. If you remember, we concluded last time's class by a quote from Prabhupada where he says, all questions of Parikshit Maharaj are answered by Shukadev Goswami systematically. So Shukadev Goswami chooses this to be the first question to answer because it establishes the relationship of the soul with the Lord and the relationship of the soul with the body and the relationship of the Lord with the body. So Srila Prabhupada writes a wonderful purport to this verse and the next verse. These 2 verses deal with this question, wherein Prabhupada describes what is the relationship of the body and the soul with Krishna. Let us read. Someone read.
The spirit soul is distinct from the material conception of his life, but he is absorbed in such a material conception because of being influenced by the external energy of the Lord, called Atma. The external energy is controlled by the Lord, and the living entities are controlled by the external energy, by the will of the Lord. Therefore, although the living entity is purely conscious in his pure state, he is subordinate to the will of the Lord in being influenced by the external energy of the Lord.
Okay. So there is living entity, then there is the external energy of the Lord, and then there is the Supreme Lord, whose energies these are. So although we living entities are considered which energy of the Lord? Marginal energy. Why marginal? But okay. So we are either sometimes we are under Krishna's superior energies or sometimes we are under Krishna's inferior energies. So that's one. Anything else? Why we are called as marginal energy? Yes. That's our relation with Him. That's that's why we are not God. That's the answer to why we are not God, because we are just part and parcel, small particle of. Someone else here was saying something. Yes, Yagyapati Ramji, one of the क्या बोलते हैं oldest. I don't want to use that word, but one of the alumni of this class. Yes. Yeah, but we are still called marginal energy only. Even when we are performing devotional service in this body, we are still called marginal energy of the Lord. Prabhupada gives, yes, Rajesh Prabhu. That is true even with everything in the spiritual world. Like there are so many things in Shantras in the spiritual world, but they are not margin energy. They are Krishna's spiritual energy. So Srila Prabhupada gives the answer that we are actually Krishna's spiritual energy. But because we are inside a body and that body is made up of matter, therefore we are, and because we are in the material world, therefore we are considered Krishna's marginal energy. So therefore here, because someone can ask the question, if soul is purely spiritual, then why is the soul getting influenced by something which is material? That's a question people can ask. Agar hum part and parcel of Krishna, we are the ansh of Krishna, but we are still spiritual, we are spirit soul, how are we getting influenced? So the answer is because we become in the body, and that illusion is also Krishna's external energy. Therefore, when we become marginalized, the external energy actually is more prominent than us, because we become marginalized in this body. And hence, we become overpowered by the illusory world, which is also the energy of Krishna. So, we are also the energy of Krishna. The illusory world is also the energy of Krishna. But because we become marginalized in this body, we are sometimes or rather many times, overpowered by this illusory energy, which is also the energy of the Lord. Bhumirapanalavāyu kham manobuddhirevacha ankar ityame bhinna prakriti rashtada. These are the external energies of the Lord. Now here Srila Prabhupada also mentions by the will of the Lord. We get illusioned and overpowered by the external energy by the will of the Lord. Someone could ask, why would the Lord want to will something like this on us? Why would he want us? Why would he want us to get into such a situation where we become marginalized and therefore we become prone to be overpowered by the external energy of the Lord? What is the answer to this? Who has not answered? Yes, Ashwini Prabhu. Because we desire to enjoy independently from the Lord. Therefore, yes, you're right. Therefore, the Lord allowed us to. Okay, okay. Someone would like to complete that? Yes, Vikas Prabhu. And why was the need to do all this? Why couldn't we enjoy independently of the Lord in the spiritual world? Okay. So that is not possible in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, there is only one object of worship, that is Krishna. There's only one Purush, which is Krishna, and are everyone else and everything else is meant to serve Krishna, and therefore this need for this material world because of our desires, and therefore Krishna is willing that okay, if you wanted this, therefore you take it, but it comes with a price, and that price is you get empowered by the or rather overpowered by the illusory energy of the Lord. There are so many things wherein we and we are told that there are side effects to this, medicines, many other things, side effects to it, overeating, side effects to it. The side effects to want to enjoy independently of the Lord are that we get overpowered by the external energy of the Lord. So this is the relation between us, this body, and Krishna. Shukadev Goswami continues, the illusion living entity appears in so many forms offered by the external energy of the Lord. While enjoying in the modes of material nature, the engaged living entity misconceives, thinking in terms of I and mine. So one can ask a question. Why is thinking in such a way a problem? Why is it a problem to think in terms of I and mine? Answers? Yes, Nita, you raised your hand or you just sitting? Yes. That's not our real identity, that's illusion. Yes, Amish Prabhu? So it's all about me. I want to enjoy independently. When we think like this, that I want to enjoy, what are the byproducts of that? Sorry? We get a reaction. What are those reactions? We get caught up in reactions in karma. What else? What are other reactions to this? We get that our relationship with Krishna basically doesn't exist at all then. Because if I am the Lord, then what is the need of worshipping someone else? What are the other ill effects of I and mine? We get attached to material things. Yes? Whenever there is something which is mine, if I like it, I don't want it to go away, to be destroyed, to in any way reduce my enjoyment to it. I get attached. Yes or no? Small thing. It, and it depends. It varies with from person to person. I remember once I had got a new watch. Let's assume I was a small child, and therefore, when the watch scratched, it was like a some scratch in my heart. Hey, watch naya watch surface. Sometimes you walk like this, and there's a scratch that comes. Or when you buy as a kid new, or maybe even now, as a new pair of white sneakers, Nike, and थोड़े time बाद कोई stamp कर देता है. If you're going to travel in public transport, or if you're just going to walk on crowded streets in Mumbai, that's going to happen. And then you look at this shoe, and if it's as if someone has taken some rod and hit you. You feel so pain. अरे मेरा नया जूता था. And then if you're like me, I many times that has happened to me, and then I would go home and I would take a wet cloth and I would try and as if the shoe is always going to remain like that. And then after a while, when there are sufficient such marks, then you don't care. You don't care for that shoe anymore. This is just a trivial example of a watch or a shoe. It goes right up to the body, attachment to the body, and therefore there is this whole industry meant to make us look younger, make us look beautiful. So this is the problem of I and mine in relation to me. Is there any other reason why this I and mine is a problem? Yes. We forget that everything belongs to Krishna, that whatever I say is mine actually belongs to Krishna. Would you want to say? Okay, so then our dependence, our faith in Krishna is not there because it's all mine. Prabhupada calls this the thief mentality. We are like thieves. If your house help starts to claim that the house belongs to him or her, what would you do? Huh? Firstly, change the house. House help. हाँ, ठीक है तुम्हारा ही है जाओ मैं जाता हूँ. Change the house help. He said help. Change the house help. That's it. You would do something else. Yeah, I mean You can do many things. You would just tell so many people that watch out for this person, don't hire this person. If that person actually takes something, you will report that person to the cops also. "ये देखो, ये ऐसे कर रहा है." And then when we have this kind of a mentality and when bad things happen to us, we question, why is this happening to me? Well, I am trying to do something which is unnatural. And therefore, a reaction comes. Srila Prabhupada says that the highest conception of this problem of I and mine is to think that I am God. When a person thinks that that person is God, then that's like the last, Prabhupada says, no, it's the last snare of Maya. Because now there's no scope. Even like karmis who are thinking everything is mine, there's some scope to explain to them that there's something beyond. But when a person thinks that I am God himself, there's nothing you can do. His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu, he says that once he went to Japan and he went to one of the Buddhist temples there. So Buddhist temple from outside, it looked very, very beautiful, a lot of fine architecture, perfectly, the lawns, the gardens, everything was very, very pakka, very nice. And then when he entered, there was this fountain to do achman before you enter the temple, just like Vedic things. Then when you enter, he said there was a 3 foot bell to ring, just like our temples. Ring a bell, you enter. A lot of fragrant flowers were there, lamps were lit up, people were offering prayers, everything, very, very nice temple. And then you go up some stairs to the altar. The altar is nicely decorated, flowers, bouquets, everything. And then he went to see the altar, which deity is there, and what was inside the altar? A big mirror. You didn't understand. So you go in front, you look at yourself, and you pray. Thank you, God. You are the greatest. So basically, what do they believe? You are God. You are God. So this is then for a living entity worse than being a karmi, a gross materialist trying to enjoy Krishna's energies, is to think that you are Krishna, that you are God. And therefore, Shukadev Goswami calls this he misconceives this illusory and living entity, is misconceiving to be the Lord. And then he gives the solution. As soon as the living entity becomes situated in his constitutional glory and begins to enjoy the transcendence beyond time and material energy, he at once gives up the two misconceptions of life, I and mine, and thus becomes fully manifested as the pure self. Right? So, the real identity of a living entity is eternal servant of the Lord, and therefore he gets re established in this original position by as soon as the living entity becomes situated in his original constitutional glory, that means Prabhupada says constitutional position is to be a eternal servant of Krishna. That's my real position, constitutional position. You have constitutional rights, so this is your right. There was the freedom is my birthright and I shall have it. Who said that? Lokmanya Tilak. Similarly, my real right is an eternal servant of God. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, you can repeat, Mam chayo vyabicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and comes to the level of Brahman. So, this illusory energy of Krishna, which is overpowering me, is at once removed, or I can now overpower it when I perform devotional service. We all know this. We all know this. But we need to be reminded of these things again and again, because we tend to again and again fall back in illusion. Again and again we fall back in illusion. When we came to Krishna consciousness, when we were new, we thought, okay, this is it. Now I will never have material desires again. Because, yes, I found the answers to all my questions and I finally understood that Krishna is Supreme Lord. I'll no longer have material desires. For a long time, then we give up all our old habits. We become very cutter in performing devotional service. And then as time progresses, to many of us, there is some slack that comes in. Some old habits start coming again. We are still chanting 16 rounds, we are still doing everything, but it's no longer as cutter as it was if we were cutter to begin with in the first few years of our spiritual life. So that therefore it is very important to remind ourselves again and again and again that there is this illusory energy of the Lord, and then there is us, and then there is devotional service. To the extent we perform devotional service, we get removed from the illusory energy and we are re-established in our constitutional position. To the extent we try again and again to get some drops of pleasure in the material world, to that extent, although we are chanting 16 rounds, although we are reading Bhagavatam, we get pulled back. When we go ahead, we get pulled back. It goes on like that. So, therefore, it's important to remind ourselves what are we fighting against? We are fighting against Krishna's external energy, which is very, very powerful. How many of you played sports in life, like earlier? So, I'm sure there are more who have not raised their hands from this side. But whenever you are up against some tough opponent, what happens automatically to your practice? You lose your confidence. Your practice intensifies. Your practice intensifies. When you know that you're going to come up against a tough opponent and there is time to prepare, your practice intensifies. When you know it's a Lallu Panju opponent, no problem. Sida jao, show up, play, win. But when you know, okay, this person knows how to play badminton or cricket or football, then you will practice more. Who are we up against? External energy of Krishna, not of some demigod, of Krishna. Therefore, when one Srila Prabhupada was praying, a disciple asked him, what are you praying for? He said, to protect myself from Maya. How can you be affected by Maya? Prabhupada said, one problem I have with my disciples is that they are not afraid of Maya enough. Not afraid enough. Not appreciating that I can't take these risks every now and then in my spiritual life. I can't take these risks. I can't chant in this manner for a long period of time. Some days here and there it's okay, but every day if my chanting is in the gutter, I can't take that risk because I'm up against Krishna's external energy. Or it's been like 3 months I have not opened a page of Prabhupada's books. I can't take that risk. That risk should not even be there for 3 days. Because if this is not going into my ears, then that is going into my ears. If spiritual knowledge is not going, then material knowledge, plans of the material world are going into my ears. This investment opportunity, that friend, look at my relative, look at my friend. प्रॉब्लम थोड़ी है थोड़ा सेविंग ज्यादा बढ़ाने के लिए मेहनत करने के लिए प्रॉब्लम थोड़ी है लोन लेके एक और घर फ्यूचर के लिए है वहां पे भी एक और मंदिर बनाएंगे उसके अंदर एक और ऑल्टर होगा दो दो ऑल्टर हो जाएंगे मेरे फिर दो दो घर के अंदर तो उसके लिए और मेहनत करना चाहिए प्रॉब्लम थोड़ी है ये प्रॉब्लम थोड़ी है वो कभी कभी चलता है एंड देन इट गोज ऑन एंड आफ्टर व्हाइल यू आर स्क्रैचिंग योर हेड थिंकिंग व्हाट हैपेंड why am I not having any interest now for spiritual life? Why does it become boring now? Why do I feel it like a drag to just chant few rounds? It is because we don't appreciate the opponent enough. And we feel chalta hai, it's okay. It's not okay. And therefore the scriptures again and again are reminding us. Shukadev Goswami in his answers in the second verse is telling someone who is about to die. In 7 days he's about to die, he's given up everything to come and hear about Krishna. To him also Shukadev Goswami is saying, this conception of I and mine is very, very dangerous. And one who is established in his constitutional position is in the right position. So, very important to remember these things again and again, every day, to remember Krishna's external energy is very powerful, and this process of devotional service is more powerful than that. And therefore, I should perform this devotional service every day in a proper way. Srila Prabhupada says, someone can read, untinged. Knowledge. Okay, so to be untinged with the modes of nature is the qualification for entering into the service of the Lord, and the perfect process to accept devotional service to Lord Krishna. Only this undoes all the other upadhis. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tat paratvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhaktir uchyate. All these upadhis, sarvopadi vinirmuktam, all the upadhis, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine, this is who I am, that is who I am, that is also who I am. Vinirmuktam, they get destroyed. Tat paratvena nirmalam. This dirty, hard heart becomes soft when Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam, with the senses, with Rishi, we perform service of Rishikesh, Krishna, Bhakti Ruchate. That is known as devotional service. Now, one very important aspect of devotional service is to perform austerity. Is austerity. The word austerity means that there is going to be some uncomfortable situations. Like many countries, like our fun loving neighbors, Pakistan, when there's a, or even Sri Lanka, सब जगह ऐसे नेबर्स है जिनका बैंड बजा हुआ है, कभी भी वो बटन दबा देंगे कुछ सीधा इधर गिरेगा. बांग्लादेश, पाकिस्तान, श्रीलंका and China all are going through economic. Afghanistan is actually our best enemy, best neighbor right now. Most friendliest neighbor is Afghanistan. Do we have a border with Afghanistan? We don't have a border with them. We have? Sorry? If we include P, okay. If we include Azad Kashmir. So they are all having austerity measures for their citizens. All those governments are saying, देखो अभी हम लोग पब्लिक स्पेंडिंग ज्यादा नहीं कर सकते, आप लोग को भी बचत कॉपरेट करना पड़ेगा, ऑस्टेरिटी मेजर्स. थोड़े टाइम बाद इकोनॉमी बढ़ेगा and everything will be fine. Austerity, things which you don't like to do. By Prabhupada's mercy, there's very little austerity in Krishna consciousness. There's an AC here, and a very nice AC. There's very nice prasad. There's a beautiful temple. Not much austerity. The only austerity for us is to be attentive for 45 minutes. For me also, when I am on that side, it becomes austere sometimes because mind is. But still, Shukadev Goswami stresses now the importance, now in relation to we being overpowered by the external energy and devotional service being able to overpower the external energy. Shukadev Goswami brings the point of austerity. And he elaborates that point by talking about Lord Brahma. Because we know how creation took place and what happened to Brahma that led to all this. The fourth verse says, O king, the personality of Godhead being very much pleased with Lord Brahma because of his non-deceptive penance in Bhakti Yoga, presented his eternal and transcendental form before Brahma. And that is the objective goal for purifying the conditioned soul. That rhymes. Very poetic. That is the objective goal for purifying the conditioned soul. What? Performing penance by which Krishna gets pleased. What happened? While thus engaged in thinking in the water, the Vishnu is lying down, lotus comes out. On the lotus, there is Lord Brahma, who is the first living entity. Lord Brahma looks everywhere. What does he see? Complete darkness everywhere. Cannot see anything. And then he heard two syllables. While thus engaged in thinking in the water, Brahmaji heard twice from nearby two syllables and joined together. One of the syllables was taken from the 16th and the other from the 21st of the Sparsha alphabets, and both joined together to become the wealth of the renounced order of life. Tapa. That's what Brahma heard. And when Lord Brahma heard this, he understood that this Brahma now cannot see anything, but he knows his position in relationship to the Lord, and he knows what he has to do. He's just thinking what's going on. And now he still knows that I am not God, that there is the Supreme Lord Vishnu. And so when he heard these two syllables, tapa, he understood this is coming from Vishnu. This is the order of the Lord for me. What is the order? Perform austerity, perform penance, perform penance. And therefore, now Brahma sat and he is meditating and he's just not doing anything else for 1000 celestial years. 1000 seconds also for us to sit in one place. 1000 seconds is how many minutes? A lot. Too much for me to perform austerity. It's too much for me to perform austerity. 1000 seconds. 1000 celestial years. 1000 into 12 into 30 into 6. A lot. 21 lakhs 60,000 years. Not 21 lakhs 6,000 seconds. 21 lakhs 6,000 years. 1000 celestial years. Lord Brahma performed austerity. When Lord Brahma performed austerity, the Lord appeared and Lord Brahma got a glimpse of the spiritual world. Lord Brahma was shown Vaikuntha. And in Vaikuntha, Lord Brahma took darshan of Lord Vishnu. And Lakshmi Devi sitting next to Lord Vishnu. And Lord Brahma, in his meditation, glanced at the lotus feet of the Lord and began to offer prayers. And tears were flowing from his eyes. All these verses in this chapter describe this till the 22nd verse, 21st verse. It describes what Brahma saw. After his meditation was over and the Lord, after his austerity was over and the Lord was pleased with him, the Lord gave him a glimpse into the spiritual world. And then Brahma started offering prayers. The Lord came and the Lord told Brahma that I am very pleased with your austerities. I'm very pleased with your penance. In fact, let's read that. This is the 24th verse. So basically, we read the 6th verse and then we read the 24th verse, and everything in between is the description. After Brahma started performing penance, what happened? And then this is the 24th verse. Shrijam tapasai vedam. Shrijami tapasai vedam. Grasami tapasa puna. Grasami tapasa puna. Bibharmi tapasa vishwam. Bibharmi tapasa vishwam. Virya me dushcharam tapa. Virya me dushcharam tapa. Shrijami tapasai vedam. Grasami tapasa puna. Vibharmi tapasa vishwam Viryam me duscharam tapa. Now this is the Lord Vishnu talking to Brahma. He is saying, I create this cosmos by such penance. I maintain it by the same energy. And I withdraw it also by the same energy, penance. Therefore, the potency is penance only. Lord Vishnu came and told Brahma, I am very pleased and satisfied with your penance, with your performing of austerities. Now, why is Brahma performing these austerities? Why is Brahma performing austerities now? One of the instructions of the Lord, Tapa. What else?
He wanted to know that what is my source, and ultimately after that instruction came. So
He wanted to know his source. More importantly, what did he want to know? His duty. His duty in relation to creation. His duty now, how to create, how to expand. Now it's only him in the entire material world, in that universe, it's only him. And so now, how to expand? Why? Because Krishna wants that. Why? Because he wants to facilitate those children of his who are still his children but now think they want to enjoy independently, and he wants to facilitate them, and for that there has to be creation, and Krishna has chosen me, so I want to know how to do it, and for that I am ready to perform whatever penance and austerity that is required. 1000 celestial years. Even for the celestial people, 1000 years is a lot. It's a lot. Why is he doing it? For Krishna's pleasure. Okay, if Krishna will be happy with this, I am ready to perform all the difficulty that is there. That difficulty that I feel is digestible, thinking Krishna's service I am doing. I am performing service to Krishna. And therefore, it is worthwhile. So, to Lord Brahma, through Lord Brahma rather, here, Shukadev Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj, and through Parikshit Maharaj, he is telling all the sages, and through the sages, this message is coming to all of us that for our spiritual life, performance of austerities is important. It is very important. Let us read the purport to this verse. The entire purport is in the next slide, and it's very nice how Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing to us the importance of performing austerities for our spiritual life. Prabhupada writes, in executing penance, one must be determined. Please read carefully, and especially the underlined words. In executing penance, one must be determined to return home, back to Godhead, and must decide to undergo all types of tribulations for that end. Even for material prosperity and name and fame, one has to undergo severe types of penances. Otherwise, no one can become an important figure in this material world. We agree? Why then should there not be severe types of penances for the perfection of devotional service? An easygoing life and attainment of perfection and transcendental realization cannot go together. The Lord is more clever than any living entity. Therefore, he wants to see how painstaking the devotee is in devotional service. The order is received from the Lord, either directly or through a bona fide spiritual master, and to execute that order, however painstaking, is the severe type of penance. One who follows the principle rigidly is sure to achieve success in attaining the Lord's mercy. We have to be determined to return home back to Godhead. And to do that, so first thing is, I should be firmly convinced and determined that this material world is not a place for me. Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur used to say, this material world is not a place fit for a gentleman or a gentle lady. This material world is not fit for somebody who wants to lead a happy life, who wants to lead a principled life. Because at every step, the material world forces us to break these principles. So, we must be determined in our mind that there is no scope of happiness in this material world. Even if I change my job, or I change my relationship, or I change my country, or I change whatever. Nowadays in America, I can change my sex also. Yes, that's big topic of debate now in this election over there. How much to allow and how much to be liberal or how much to be conservative. I should be convinced no matter what I do, I will not be happy in this material world. It's not possible. And therefore, I should be convinced that the solution to all my problems will end. Everything. The each and every problem related to the body, related to the mind, related to my karma, related to my future, everything will end when I return home back to God. It's like you look at a dying person, like a mother passed away last year. You see, and especially if someone passes away in a hospital, they've she was fortunate not to, she passed away at home. But those who pass away in the hospital, you see they have like either they're on a ventilator or there's a BiPAP or there's something, machines are doing tan 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 tan. They're very labored in that, and then 1 second it all ends. It all ends. That labored breathing is no longer labored, there's no breathing. All that tan tan tan, it stops. All the external issues, they go away. Person is suffering, that ends. But that only ends for that lifetime. Continues. Just in that same manner, when we are firmly convinced, I can make a list of all my problems of life, all my bodily problems, all my problems with other people, how I'm wrongly done by so many people, how this is not right in my life, how my problems, how India's problems, how the world's problem. Very bad time to be right now in this material world, on this planet. Very tough time. I should be convinced all these things ka only solution, and that solution applies to all my problems, right from having a stomach ache or indigestion to my biggest problem. They will all end with this one solution. Therefore, I should be convinced, determined to return back to Godhead. And therefore, for that, I should be willing to do all sorts of austerities for my spiritual life. What's the biggest austerity in a devotee's life? Getting up, getting up early in the morning, getting up at 3:30, getting up at 4, getting up at 5 for those 5. Yes, get up. I have to go to office. Get up at 5. I sleep late. Get up at 5. So, biggest austerity, that alarm clock. Some people think कुछ अच्छा मधुर महामंत्र बजाऊंगा तो वो फिर उठेंगे ही नहीं. But that's the biggest austerity we have to do. The second biggest austerity which I feel is, now having gotten up and having started to chant, is to ignore the mind while chanting. And then after that, so many austerities. One austerity can be, okay, I choose to live a simpler life. And therefore, all these question marks are there. What will happen in the future regarding the finances? What will happen? Who will take care of me? How will it all happen? How will my kids be taken care of? Kaise hoga, kaise hoga, kaise hoga? As if, the minute you decide to live a simpler life, the super soul leaves your heart. छोड़ यार, simple life जीना निकलो. And when you decide to live a complicated life, also that super soul is only one who is maintaining us. But we have all these are all our austerities, so many austerities. We have so many past habits that pull us every now and then towards them. They may not be sinful habits, but there are some habits which pull us. Some songs, some movies, some entertainment, some sports, some gossip, some family attachments, some extra passion for my profession. These things pull me again and again. And to ignore them is an austerity. You really feel like, watching something on YouTube, something not so Krishna conscious. And then at that time, to not choose that and to choose some spiritual lecture is a austerity. But at that time, if we understand, if I choose this, I'm performing austerity. and austerity pleases Krishna. How many of us have this bad habit of procrastinating, delaying things? अभी नहीं, बाद में करूँगा, बाद में करूँगा, बाद में करूँगा, बाद में. Half of you have. The other half are very proactive. We all have. We all struggle with procrastination. Here is one tip wherein we can use procrastination in our devotional service. Whenever we get these thoughts, थोड़ा क्रिकेट देख लेते हैं, थोड़ा वो पुराना वो सुन लेते हैं वापस, थोड़ा वो फैमिली का थोड़ा ध्यान देते हैं, क्या चल रहा है, थोड़ा ये करते हैं. Just think, हाँ, very nice idea. I'll do it later. बाद में पक्का करेंगे, बाद में करेंगे, बाद में करेंगे. And as we know with बाद में करेंगे, that बाद में never comes. So procrastination can be used in Krishna's service in this way. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. We tend to somehow do that with our spiritual life. अब भागवतम पढ़ना, अब बाद में पढ़ूंगा, अभी देखते हैं वो क्या कहाँ हुआ था अभी इलेक्शन, हरियाणा में क्या हुआ, कैसे जीत गया. Will Haryana be repeated in Maharashtra versus Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 2 chapter 9? Practical, I live in Maharashtra. Times of India. Will Haryana be repeated? What does BJP have to do? As if you have any control over the BJP. Okay, I'll definitely read what will happen in Maharashtra, how BJP can do, but I'll do it later. Now let me go to the 9th chapter. So Prabhupada goes on. An easygoing life and attainment of perfection and transcendental cannot go together. If every day I'm getting up at 7 o'clock and every day my chanting is just, fingering the beads in the auto or in the car, and I have seen devotees driving while chanting, all glories to Haridas Thakur might be scratching his head and thinking, ये क्या है? Mahaprabhu might be thinking, okay, easy बना दिया, इतना तो फायदा मत उठाओ. And that also with a manual shift car. How you manage? Do it. I've seen devotees enter the temple like that. बीट बैग है हाथ में, गाड़ी चला रहे हैं, and they are coming into the temple. If we have such kind of relaxed approach to life, then easygoing life and attainment of spiritual perfection cannot go to. Spiritual perfection. My spiritual life will go ahead. But now I want to make it go at the pace of Usain Bolt, or I want to make it go at the pace of, say, if I were running a race. So बढ़ेगा आगे, definitely. However I chant, if I'm chanting Krishna's name, there's going to be benefit. But if I want to make it fast, then I need to do some austerity for that, of getting up in the morning. Need to create a space in my life, a time in my life where I get a few hours to peacefully chant or peacefully read Bhagavatam. That needs to be there. I need to remove time to perform some seva. It should not just be my career and my family life and Saturday evening and my sadhana. Okay, take every now and then I'll give some charity. Perform devotional service, remove some time for that. Easygoing life and attainment of transcendental realization cannot go together. The Lord is more cleverer. Prabhupada said, Lord is more cleverer than the living entity. He wants to see. He wants to see with all our attachments of lifetimes, or those impressions, those vasanas in our heart, in our mind, which attract us to cricket, or which attract us to Bollywood, or which attract us to gossip, or which attract us to money, or which attract us to being praised, or which attract us to seeing our kids grow. Whether we are keeping that aside and doing something that may not necessarily attract us, reading Bhagavatam, hearing Bhagavatam, chanting Hare Krishna, performing some services. Not, they are very attractive, but sometimes these feel more attractive. Yes? I'm the only one? Sometimes these feel more attractive. On some days, they feel completely ridiculous. And devotional service, we are fully enthusiastic. There are some days where it fluctuates. Yes? On those days, this is called an austerity. To procrastinate on that, बाद में करेंगे, or better yet, nonsense, निकालो ये मन से, और बाद में करेंगे, and still read Bhagavatam when it's not really very interesting. Still read Prabhupada's books or hear lectures when it's really very, you would rather hear something else. That austerity the Lord wants to see. कितना मेहनत कर रहे हैं ये, कितना कष्ट ले रहे हैं for me. And then such a person is sure to achieve success in attaining the Lord's mercy. Prabhupada writing, sure to achieve success. Sure, guaranteed. The only guarantee in the material world. You will surely attain the mercy of the Lord. That's what we are looking for, the mercy of the Lord. Right? So let us take this lesson from today. Things which don't seem very interesting in my spiritual life, and certain things of the material world which seem interesting, I have to perform austerity over there. Say no to this and say yes to that. Procrastinate this and be proactive here. Procrastinate there and be proactive here. Procrastinate for my material life, be proactive for my spiritual life. That can be the title of the YouTube class. And then what do? Krishna is seeing that. अरे इतना इंटरेस्टिंग मैच चल रहा है, ये भागवतम पढ़ रहा है. Very good. Mercy comes. Now I'm watching a cricket match or whatever I watch, and I'm also chanting Hare Krishna at that time, or I'm not, I'm just engrossed in that. And then I expect, but I'm a devotee, come on, I'm wearing Kanthi Mala, I'm chanting, I'm initiated. Yes, I'll get the mercy of the Lord, but limited. I'll progress in a slower way. But if I really wanted this lifetime, Prabhupada says, "No, you have given so many lifetimes to illusory energy of Krishna. This lifetime give to Krishna." So if I think, कितना austerity करना है, ये lifetime का खाली. That's it. He performed for 1000 celestial years. I have to perform for 30, 40, 50 years, whatever else I'm going to live in this life. That much austerity I have to do. Results are what? Sure to achieve success in attaining the Lord's mercy. So devotees are interested in this kind of austerity, not the austerity that the yogis do. 2 months later, there's Kumbh Mela. You will see all sorts of yogis and Naga Babas and all coming there. You were also going to see that in our calendar, but thankfully now it's not there. You will not get that joke. But they perform austerities not for Krishna's pleasure. They perform austerities for getting siddhis. Prabhupada writes, Karmis perform a lot of austerity, but for furthering their interests. Today/tomorrow is Vijay Dashmi. Ravan performed a lot of austerities, but not to please the Lord. Hiranyakashipu performed a lot of austerities, but not to please the Lord. They did it for themselves. Karmis are working hard for themselves. The yogis and sadhu, the siddhis, they are all doing it for themselves. But a devotee's austerity is not like that. Prabhupada is not telling us to sit with a straight back underwater or in the heat and meditating on something. No. Saying no to material things and saying yes to spiritual things. This is our austerity. Because, why is it still an austerity? Because we still have taste for the material world and we still don't have fully developed taste for the spiritual life. Therefore, it is an austerity. Ravan performed austerity for himself. Let's consider this is Ravan. 6 months later in Narsingha Chaturdashi, we tell you this is Hiranyakashipu. Both performed same austerity. For both it was Brahma only. So today he is Ravan. Performed all these crazy austerities, got the mercy of Lord Brahma, became powerful, became strong, became undefeatable, became ferocious, got the performed penance for Lord Shiva. And what did he do with it? Troubled the sadhus, just furthered his own interest. He became overpowered by lust, anger, and greed. Lust, anger, and greed. The three gateways to hell. Lust, anger, and greed. We know that verse, Dhyato Vishayam Pumsam. Goes into Smriti Brahmshat Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati. Person is destroyed by this. We are not looking for this kind of power. We are looking for the power of the mercy of Krishna, not the power that Ravan got. And just like Ravan, we also have got sufficient warnings from devotees. Who all warned Ravan? Who was the first person to warn Ravan? First person. First person. No. Marich. Marich. Very good. Marich. When Ravan told, deceitful, when you when you lose control over yourselves and your desires become so strong to enjoy the material world, you are ready to break all rules for that. Ravan ready to become a sadhu to kidnap Sita. He told Marich, you become a golden deer. Marich said, Arey Baba, that is God. That is the goddess of fortune. Nahi hoega plan successful. Ravan got angry. He said, either you do it or I'll kill you right now. Marich thought, इसके हाथ से मरूंगा तो कुछ नहीं होगा. राम के हाथ से मरूंगा, I will get liberation. So no brainer. Okay, ठीक है, I'll become deer. Someone can ask ना, मारीच को पता था फिर भी क्यों किया? किसके हाथ मरना है? First warning. Second warning, Jatayu. Second warning, Jatayu. Don't do this. Don't do this. You don't know who that is. Just let go. Third warning, Mandodari and his son. What's his name? Indrajit. Meghnad, Indrajit. He also warned him. See, this is not ordinary. This personality is not ordinary. Let go. Mandodari said, you have so many beautiful wives. Mandodari was considered the most beautiful in the entire material world. Most beautiful. There's nothing new you will get from Sita. Like we've tried so much to enjoy. And we think this next enjoyment will be very different. The same. Same. Cover is different. Ingredients are the same. Ingredients not able to give permanent happiness. Those are the ingredients of everything in the material world. Ingredients not able to give permanent happiness. That's it. Then who warned him? Hanumanji. Hanumanji came and gave him a warning. Abhi bhi time hai, chhod do. After burning Lanka, also Ravan couldn't understand that if a servant of Ram is like that, then what to speak of Ram? Then who gave him warning? Vibhishan, Angad, then Vibhishan, his brother, his own flesh and blood gave him warning. What did Ravan do? Kick Vibhishan out. What did Ram do? Accept Vibhishan. Sakra deva prapanno yas tavas michita yachate abhayam sarvada tasmai dadam etan vritam mama. If anyone once declares to me, dear Lord, from this day I am yours, I award them courage. Abhayam sarvada tasmai. I award them courage by which they can come to me. Vibhishan. Then who warned Ravan? Kumbhakaran. Kumbhakaran warned him. Kumbhakaran also, so much steeped in ignorance, he also warned Ravan. Abhi bhi damage control. Let's cut our losses. All those who trade, cut your losses. Perform this austerity. Don't trade. Be satisfied with whatever comes. See every 5 years. Then who warned him? That always Mother Sita was warning. Finally, who warned him? Lord Ram. Lord Ram also gave him a chance. Even now, if you leave Mother Sita, we will not continue this. No, 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 no. Similarly, we are also warned so many times. From where all do we get our warnings? Devotees. प्रभुपाद, आप लोगों को कुछ वार्निंग मिलता नहीं है लगता है. चुप बैठे, वार्निंग क्यों बोल रहे? कुछ पहली बार सुन रहे हैं आज की ऑस्टेरिटी करना चाहिए मटेरियल लाइफ में. Prabhupada's books every now and then, the lectures of devotees every now and then, the teachings of the Lord every now and then, our own experiences every now and then. Around 12, 13 years back, I was attending a Isopanishad course in VIHE, Vrindavan. And there was this Mataji, Prasanna Mataji from France, elderly, elderly Mataji. She was giving a class. So she was saying that a prayer of a devotee, one of the prayers of a devotee should be, when they are feeling spiritually inspired, should be, my dear Krishna, right now I'm spiritually inspired. There may be some occasions where I'm not so much. Whatever I pray at that time, I'm telling you now only, please don't answer it. If I ask you for material things, please don't answer it. Right now, I'm not asking. कुछ हो सकता है, मेरा मन फिर सकता है आगे जाके. Please don't answer those prayers. Krishna says, no, matta smitir jnanam apohanam cha. So you give me knowledge of whatever is required to perform devotional service, and please let me forget all these temptations of mine. So we are warned again and again by every canto of Bhagavatam will give some story and give one warning. Every canto of Bhagavatam will show how somebody fell down. Modern stories of devotees show us someone who really wanted, even if he or she was not very skilled, their life is glorious now. They, like a horse, their life became just like this. They were not looking here and there. And somebody who was so nice a devotee, doing such amazing things, but they slackened. That vision became like this now. And बुरा हाल हो गया उनका spiritual life का. So many warnings are there. Let's not be like Ravan. When Ravan was dead, Mandodari came, stood on his corpse, and said, when you controlled your senses, you became the greatest person in the material world. And when you let go, when you lost control of your senses, you are just a dead corpse. Ramji shot the arrow in the heart. Agastya Muni came at that time. All the heads kept appearing back. Agastya Muni told, shoot in that region, the region of the heart. That's where the Amrit is stored. And here, take this Aditya Hriday mantra, chant this mantra, shoot the arrow, boom. Ravan was dead. The Lord didn't require help from Agastya Muni to do that. But he's showing the role of a devotee. Ram performed austerities in the ashram of Agastya Muni to serve him. So when we do that, we get the mercy. It comes through. So our austerities, we discussed. Let's perform those austerities. Getting up early, not eating any and everything, removing time for our spiritual life, removing good quality time, not travel time, not night time, not Sunday time, every day, good quality time, procrastinating our material attractions, material interests, proactive in our spiritual life. These are our austerities. By these, we will show the Lord, I'm serious. I'm serious about my life, about my spiritual life. And in this way, on this Dashera day, we would kill the Ravan within our heart. The Ravan of the material Kida, of wanting to enjoy, wanting to be. Someone's alarm is going off. Enough, don't listen to this fellow anymore. Material life will be screwed. So, kill the Ravan in the heart by performing austerities for our spiritual life. And those austerities are only and only meant for Krishna's pleasure. Just like Brahmaji, he performed all these austerities because this is my seva. So we can also think when the temptations come, I need to say no to this, that's also my seva. It's my seva not to indulge in these things. It's my seva, even if I find it boring, to read Bhagavatam, to learn shlokas, to listen to lectures, to perform services. And in due course of time, the taste will come. When will it come? When the Lord's mercy comes. When will that come? When He sees us performing these kind of hardships for His pleasure. Any questions? Yes. That's why we have our daily sadhana. Every day we remind ourselves again and again that I am a spirit soul servant of God. Therefore, every day we read Prabhupada's books, every day we chant Hare Krishna, and then we get involved with the devotees, wherein the devotees keep asking us how we are doing, and we take up some services which are there in our mind. So I may be a software engineer or I may be a banker, but I also have this service to do in my spiritual life, and then I think about that. So this has to be every day. Keep reminding ourselves every day, because material energy, as we discussed, is very strong. It very easily pulls us there. So therefore, this has to be done every day and at a proper time in our life, not the residual time of my day, but a good time of the day. Any other questions? All right. Let's conclude by hearing from Srila Prabhupada on this topic. Brahmaji was sinless, and therefore he faithfully discharged the advice of the Lord, Tapa, Tapa. And the Lord, being satisfied with him, awarded him the desired result. Therefore, only love and penance combined can please the Lord, and thus one is able to attain his complete mercy. He directs the sinless, and the sinless devotee attains the highest perfection of life. Srila Prabhupada ki. So now we will, since today slash tomorrow is Vijay Dashmi, we will sing a bhajan about Lord Ram, led by Shantivardhan Prabhu.